Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and this is code somewhere on the screen. Probably this plant. That's gotta be code for something. Anyway, hi, happy Friday! Welcome to a Friday on our channel, which is a community day. What I do on community day is I open up our Discord so that if anyone feels like it, they can join in voice conversation. We can have verbal discussion. But if you don't, if you aren't comfortable doing voice, you can still participate in Community Day by chatting, bringing up topics, conversations, things that you find interesting in the technology space, especially around .NET. There's a lot of excitement coming up. So I was gonna take a stop. I was gonna put up a poll that says, did Jern do a shave? But I decided not to. It would have been funny. I'm not that funny though. Hold on. I'm also trying to do something else that I forgot that I was going to do. Let me make sure that this is muted first. Wait, maybe I just played in a different browser. So you guys can't see this yet, which is good, because I don't want you to see this yet. But I need to make sure that it's at the right spot. Shout out to Irish John Games. If you guys don't know Irish John Games, he is a fantastic, really amazing game developer. He had an announcement yesterday that he started an early stream for, which is, so I wasn't able to listen for the first part of the stream, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the fact that Rise of Piracy is now on the Microprose website, and you'll be able to check it out there. We'll get an updated link for it soon. S***N. Sorry to throw out curse words like that. Just throwing them out. Well, yeah, there's the Microprose, but I wanted to take them directly to Irish John's. Oh, actually, geez, I didn't realize it was that big of an announcement where it is actually the main splat. Oh, you guys got to see this. Hold on. Let me finish with this. It's got music. It's less than 30 seconds. That should be fine, right? Okay, it'll be queued, so that'll be fine. I just paused it there. And it's gonna be loud when it happens too. So I need to make sure volume is regulated here. It's regulated in OBS, and the camera just made me all twitchy. All right. So I close this. I can close this, and let's go to the desktop. So when you go to microprose.com, this is what you're going to be confronted with. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. Irish John Games. Front page of Microprose, landing page. You get the pirate ships, you get the explosions, and oh my goodness, even Stream Elements is excited about this. So Dukasoft gave us the shout out for Irish John plus the game on Steam, and Stream Elements is like, yeah, this looks amazing. This is awesome. So exciting. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah. So I told Dukasoft, or I said, I guess out loud, because I mean, I directed it to Dukasoft, but I was going to put up a poll for did Jern do a shave or whatever, you know, however he words his, and then reveal that I got a haircut or something. But I didn't, because I was in the middle of doing work, which is what I do before stream and after stream. Where's the haircut poll? It's right there. Anyone would think you're going to TwitchCon now. I just have an eye exam tomorrow. And like, I'm not really ever too worried about my physical appearance, but like it's really difficult having my poofy longer hair and wanting to go out places and stuff. But I will let it grow again for however long, probably another 3 to 4 months, maybe longer. Mostly because I'm lazy and don't feel like it. But yeah, this is so incredible. This is really cool. I didn't want it to get in my eyes and couldn't be bothered to blend. Oh, yes. I was actually like, one of the things that I end up doing that I didn't know I do is when I get the flyaways down here, like behind my neck, I start grabbing onto them and braiding them. Fun times. But we are waiting for a very special event to happen. Braided flyaways, that's a look. Good times. So anyway, something that I forgot to do after Wednesday's stream was the actual PR for the work that we completed. So I'm going to do that really quick before we get too far into community communal day. Aw, thank you, Dukasoft. That's so kind of you. Enjoy those 2 emojis it gave me. I will get more. I've been actually practicing doing some art, some photoshopping, hand drawn, to try to see if I can maybe come up with my own emojis. It's not going well, especially since it's like in 2-minute bursts while I'm waiting for builds. Like I told you guys that it takes about 5 minutes whenever I need to do a full rebuild of our work product. And so I find ways to fill those gaps with things like I watch videos on AI. Of course, I'm still lurking on people's streams, so sometimes I interact with them. But lately, I've been trying to just do some more art related stuff because that's something else that I want. Oh, there are 3. I forgot that I put the smiley, the image that we're using for GitHub for, yeah, this thingy that a certain fairy made. Good times. Okay, create a PR real quick. Awesome. I'm glad you like that one. Yeah. It just kind of came together. It was really cool. Yep. Well, I don't know everybody, but I do know a couple people from the Fey world. Maybe a handful. All right. we're creating one off of this one. I still want to know why this branch is open, why I haven't closed this branch. Do you know the one that collects teeth? Because lately they've been forgetting to visit. Unfortunately, no. I think they're from a different realm. Yeah, not quite the same. Yeah. They might be from the same realm as that Tinker one. Pixies. What is this doing? This one is adding the calculator, right? That's what this is? No, this is cleaning up warnings. We finished with the calculator. So I also got my first main, I guess it's really my third, but my first actual community maintainer interaction thing that I'll show you guys. No Tooth Fairy hookup. Great. I'm sorry. Maybe I can find someone that knows someone that is friends with someone else whose child is related in some way to some. Anyway. I'd have to go through a long chain to get to the Tooth Fairy, probably. Added. What are they called? Preprocessor? Pre-compiler? What are they even called? No warn? Messages? Oh, should be down here, right? Yeah. For actual non-issues. Hello? Yeah, I'm still gonna call them no warns. I don't really know what the official term is for these. But if you did it in your CS proj, they would be under the no warn property. So added pre-compiler no warn messages to relevant lines, around relevant lines, around relevant lines. I'll put these as bullets. Added XML doc markup where needed. And those were pretty much the only things we need. Oh, removed unused variables. Great. Cool. So I'm creating the pull request. No conflicts. Everything is good to go. Merging. We're going to go ahead and so I don't forget for the next stream. Oh, dang it. I forgot to tell it to complete. Whatever. And I would like to pull latest main. Sumimasen. Don't be mean. Let me do this. Pull latest main. DFlux is here. Hello, DFlux. 12 seconds while I get latest main and delete this. There. And I'll also do some investigation on why this branch is not actually deleted. All right, so you're good. I am pulling you into the stream room and meow. Did I turn my camera on? I didn't. All right, we got a sound check and everything.
Yeah, sound check. Make sure I'm coming through clearly.
Yep, you are good. I need to turn you up in my ears though.
There
But
we
your
go.
volume is good on the stream.
Turn me up a little bit too. Cool. Hey, how we doing?
Amazing.
Good.
Congratulations, says Dukasoft.
Oh, yes, because last week, you remember, was terrible. I arrived like 3 minutes before you about to end, and I extended your stream by like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So this time I'm on time. and I'm by happy coincidence, because if I may open with a slight rant, I received one of the most obnoxious emails I've received in a while from one of the oversight people. No. Well, hey, if it was from you, I'd take it. You know what I mean? Like the problem with this email is the email itself widely demonstrates the incompetence of the person sending it, and it's so patently obvious to everyone that knows the subject matter. The trouble is, like, not many people know the subject matter. But needless to say, for the uninitiated, there's a service on Azure called Static Web App, and you can host things like React, Angular, and Blazor WebAssembly on there. It's categorically designed to integrate with GitHub Actions. It is impossible. Like, they made it impossible. You cannot publish from Visual Studio or VS Code or from your desktop. It has to go through GitHub Actions in order to get to there. And so I'm trying to get the key, the publish key, and I have to like go get permission to do that, apparently, which is sort of hilarious in the first place. And then this middle manager somewhere sends me this long email telling me, no, you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't be publishing from your desktop to the static web app, which is literally impossible. He sends this long scorching email about how we're not following procedure, and how it's creating confusion in the team because multiple developers could be publishing at the same time. Doesn't make sense, to a practice that we've never done for years, or never even done in the first place, because it's impossible. So I read that email. I was like, all right, cool. The day's over for me. I'm gonna clock out. Yeah, that's my opening rant.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Peter said, real quick, I will not join the call today. The rest of you in chat can breathe a sigh of relief. But we like your conversations. They're good conversations. Not to say not to say you have to come into voice chat or anything. There is no pressure at all. But there is also no reason for you not to. Added task and removed invalid. When did I add invalid? Invalid. Okay, issue's closed. Does anyone remember what issue 18 was? How is it closed? What?
I'm gonna get slightly better. We don't use the tracking.
Red Kevin Games. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We just got raided by Red Kevin, who I was lurking on. Thank you so much for the raid. You came in on a wonderful day. It's Friday on our channel. That means it's Community Day. Right now we have DFlux in our Discord voice channel. So we usually have conversations around technology, upcoming things that are exciting, work you're doing. So definitely, if you have anything to share, feel free to do that.
I went to bed at like 8.
There's a shout out.
And I woke up at 1:30 or 2, so I slept
Speaking
for 5
of
hours
cool and interesting things,
but I do have to go to work in a few hours.
Been trying to play with the new .NET 8 stuff, in particular the routing stuff, the ability. So you know the thing where you could like click a link and it like scrolls to the about section in the middle of the page, and then you click like another link and it scrolls to the support section of the web page.
Yes.
And it's like hashtag about or hashtag in the route. Well, .NET 8 now has that in Blazor. Right. So you know, because I have I wrote my own, or I didn't write my own. I copied from someone's GitHub a JS workaround for that, so I could do that, and so it's now built in. So that was really cool to do, and I now also love the new
top shape, I think, but then I'll go to bed.
I use that massively. That's really cool because it allows you to do so much more, so much quicker. So I've been really enjoying that. But I still haven't quite got my head around
Straight after work,
exactly
probably.
the best way to use the virtualization in Blazor. I've lost a little bit of the way because I haven't done it in a while, and I
Yeah,
wasn't able to
so
get it.
just remember that virtualization doesn't really work with enumerables. That's one of the main things. It needs to be a materialized list or collection.
Standby, checking.
That's one of the things that I ran into a lot. I haven't tried it lately or tried other techniques for getting it to work with enumerables. I'm sure it does if you use a loader, maybe.
So I'm using the item provider, to which
Right.
I have a method that returns a value task, item provider result, and I'm handing
a value
list
task
into
of
that.
what? A list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, a list.
So it should work.
Yeah, well, so one of the things is I believe it's working.
Oh, hold on, I can't hear. Apparently,
microphone check 1,
my...
2. You gotta charge those batteries.
So I recently, dang it. Hold on. It needs to finish. Would you just stop already? Oh goodness. Okay, so I recently set up Phone Companion, Windows Phone Companion, and hooked it up to my phone. And apparently when my phone rings, it also cuts out any regular desktop audio.
I thought it was a paid for feature, just to...
That is annoying. Maybe I will not use
I remember setting that up. and I thought it was the coolest thing. But it was... Do you remember the day... Now, you may not have... this was really, for me, the day when Google or Android set up a thing where you can send text messages from your computer using that web service.
Yeah.
Because I at the time I worked in a company with company iPhones, and a couple of the people in the company had iMacs, and I didn't, and so they had like a solid advantage. Anything technical that came up here, they could like smash an essay quickly into a text, and I'm there with my teeny phone, my little thumb trying to reply. They just like send me waves of text. I was like, this is unfair. This is unfair.
Can't keep up.
Yeah, exactly. So when the Android thing came out, I was like, haha, we are now even.
But anyway, okay, back to what you were saying about virtualization and getting back value task of list.
Yeah, well, so it's more of a design thing. So it used to be I had like a table, and the table works great for virtualization, works a treat, in fact. But the problem with the table, it's just one very wide button. So it's more of just like, it's a one row table with a very wide button with the name of the person. That is like it opens up its own UI once you click on it. It has like a to-do list number that loads in after the fact. So I wanted to move the UI more into like a card thing, where it like loads the cards and then like sort of like flexes them over, so that like you can have. And I was gonna load in some more details rather than just the name and the to-dos.
Sounds like a good idea.
But when I engaged the whole flex box, where what's it?
Display flex.
Yeah, or display flex. I'm thinking of the particular thing where it knows to move down flex. I think it's flex. I can no longer quite get it because the scroll no longer. I don't know. I haven't quite got it figured out entirely. So I've just been playing with that. I was just sharing all the things I've been working on recently in Blazor. So that was one of the things I'm still trying to exactly get my head around. Was the virtualization, because I sort of lost it along the way with all this pesky Angular development that because I'm no longer allowed to use Blazor. But with .NET 8 coming into fruition in November, I am gonna pretty much bring that up to my employer, my primary employer, and be like, hey, you know that thing was hired to do in the first place? Well, it's now even more awesome. So if you don't let me do it now, I'll quit. Better. Yeah, so we'll see what they do. I have like until like late 2024. I want to say about a year from now, where like my 401k becomes fully vested. I guess they have this rule where like you have to work for the company for at least 3 years to get 100% of the amount that they've matched in your 401k, which is kind of bullshit, but that's a rule. And anyway, so I'll give them a countdown. I'll say, hey, when you get a Blazor approved in this time, I'll be happy working. If we don't, I'll just go somewhere else.
Okay.
But
Yes. The end. I have no idea. My brain is all over the place right now.
but I guess because you're, I really want to. Have you ever thought of upgrading your financial management app here to the .NET 8 RC2 that came out last week or so?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on using any of the RCs, but once .NET 8 does come out, I will do an upgrade process just so we can experience what that's like.
Oh, cool. Yeah, good thinking.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. One of the things that I noticed that is going to probably make it a little difficult is for our web version of the application, it's going to be pretty easy because we can just tell the main WASM version of the app to be the whole hybrid server WASM, have some pages render static, have some pages render server first, and then wait until the WASM runtime is available, and then on the next load, use WASM from that point on. However, we also have a mobile version, and because of the nature of mobile app, I'm kind of thinking that we might run into some issues. Not just the mobile app, the Maui app.
I'm glad you got that far. I've downloaded it, I've attempted it, I still quite haven't understood. So I have in my little invention here, I have a server instance and I have a WebAssembly instance of the exactly the same thing. And I just simply have an interface with two different implementations that, or three, I guess, then therein like load the data. That's loading the data back and forth. So obviously, when you're on the WebAssembly side, the interface is a bunch of HTTP calls, or when you're on the server side, it's a bunch of database calls.
Right.
Right. And then the third implementation is obviously the API. Yeah. And so, yeah, one of the things I've got to work out is like, well, does it dynamically switch between the different implementations once it's loaded the WebAssembly stuff? Does it know? That was one of the things with like this virtualization component is like when I load the data in, I'm loading it through depending on if you're on a WebAssembly or a server, and when you're on the server, it just so happens that I'm using Cosmos DB, and It just so happens the particular value I'm querying, I can't actually like load Cosmos DB doesn't know how to do the thing where you like do the skip and take. It can't do it. So just so happens like I bring the full list into memory and filter it from there anyway. But it's just a name and to do, so it's like not a big thing.
That's interesting. Like that Cosmos can't do skip and take. But the answer is that if you have it in auto mode, so you'll need to tell it how to render a component or a page or whatever at the top using either an attribute or you can do it for the entire application.
And I'll be leaving on auto, right, which is the default, which it loads server first, then loads the WebAssembly.
Yeah, so what that means is when you first load the application on a fresh computer or incognito, or you've cleared your cache or whatever, it will run server, and then the WebAssembly will download in the background. For that entire session, you will be running server until you refresh. And then it'll switch as long as the Blazor WebAssembly runtime is available.
Oh, so it's on okay, so I guess it's like it is a refresh
session. But it could also be like, let's say you have your app where some pages don't even load Blazor at all. So those are just static pages, for example. Then if you navigate to one of those pages and then you navigate to another page or component that says render mode auto, then it'll use whichever one is available. So if, again, WebAssembly isn't available yet, do server, load WebAssembly in the background. If WebAssembly is available, then use WebAssembly.
Gotcha.
So for us, that would be our main page. Our main landing page would be static. And so if I am in the app, I go back to main landing page, go back to the app, then I'll use WebAssembly the second time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna get my hands a little bit more in the mud with it and understand it just a little bit more. But that does make sense. from what you said there. I did go ahead and I wanted to like do a little demo. I did notice, and hopefully they fix this before they go into full, whatever the final push or whatever, is that the preview version, latest version of Visual Studio, when you run, oh, I'm getting a phone call. I gotta dip. Sorry.
Okay.
Work is calling me.
Yep. We'll be here. As he leaves himself unmuted. All right. So anyway, while DFlux is gone, I have so much trouble calling my students by the correct names. I'm always mixing names. It's because you guys keep switching seats so often. You just need to sit in the same flippin' chair every time. Got it? Stop moving seats. I see you. Stop moving seats. Okay. While we're waiting, as I was saying, we did the PR for the thing that we just did. And again, if any of you in chat do have some topics that you want to discuss, today is all about discussing whatever you would like to talk about. I had a topic that maybe I could bring up. Call DFlux on the phone to mute him. Check. Terrible. Terrible. No, I forgot what I was saying. We got rid of, or we did the PR. I'm trying to look for branches. Like this whole time I've been trying to get into the branches so that I can delete branch 18 because we aren't using it. Instead we used branch, we did use it. We just finished the merge already. So we should have deleted it in that PR. So I have two other random branches open, one that's called just playing, I don't know what's in there, and one that's called WebView 2 resize area issue, where I was demonstrating some stuff where when you have a WebView 2 control, when you have a Blazor WebView control, which is a WebView 2, inside of a WPF application, and it's taking up the entire main content area, what's called the client area. The resize portion, so like the part on the left and right of a window and top and bottom where you can click to drag to resize, it's very, very small because the actual WebView control overlaps part of the resize area. And in fact, what I think happens is the resize area no longer has this outer buffer. Instead, that gets moved inside, and that is because of using Window Chrome, because as soon as I turned on Window Chrome so that we can customize the color and everything of the title bar for non-Windows 11 machines, that's when we started seeing that issue. So that's what those are. They're just going to be there for a little bit. We're probably going to pick them back up someday. I don't know that for sure. That could be a lie. It'll probably just get dropped. One more for anyone else that came in. Some news that Irish John shared with his community, which a lot of you are a part of already, is if you go over to the MicroProse website, first thing you're going to see is this. This is the game that Irish John Games, who we all know and love, has been developing for the past 4-ish years, give or take. And this is really, really awesome to see. It's so cool. Just kudos to him. And kudos to all of you that are currently making games, currently streaming your development process. It takes a lot of work. So keep up what you're doing. I'm enjoying your content. I hope I get to let you know that and keep supporting you more and more. Okay. I am good, I think. We're good to go. There. So yeah, once again, while we are waiting for anyone else to bring up conversation, I'll bring up the topic, I guess, that I was faced with yesterday. So you guys might know me by now and know that I have difficulties with handling situations where someone will schedule a meeting on the day that they want to meet, especially when it's like really close to the the time, and I'm not expecting it at all. So what happened was yesterday, my people manager scheduled a meeting for me to help another team, and they scheduled it for 4:30 p.m., which I typically end my workday at 3:30 p.m. And by 4:30, I am cooking or having dinner with my wife. And yeah, the part of that, I guess, that I forgot is that they scheduled it at I don't know how to word this. I'm terrible at this. They sent the calendar invite at 2:30 p.m. my time, so 2 hours before they wanted the thing to happen. Then they contacted me in Teams, and they were like, do you have time for a Blazor quiz? Smiles. And I'm like, I am not going to be available at 4:30. The other thing that happened to be going on at the same time was I was talking with my project manager, who had just called about 10 minutes before that email went out, because we did our final release yesterday of the current version of the app. Hooray us. And so we were cleaning up the the words bacon. The technical specifications document that we use internally for training, for letting our support know how our app works, and here's some technical details about it. So we were doing that, and so I let them know, the people manager know, this is my client work side, this is my Sagetti work side. That's why I'm pointing to each direction. So I let them know that I'm not available at that time, but I should be available in about 10 minutes when my project manager and I are done. So they're like, cool, just let me know. So I let them know after me and my project manager hung up, and then they immediately started a meeting with the other person that was going to be at 4:30, and I'm like, this is going to go past 3:30, isn't it? But anyway, that was all just to introduce what the issue was, and I thought this was an interesting issue because maybe some of you have some opinions on this, have some information on how this might work. And again, no pressure to come out of lurk or to chat, but in case you do have anything to say about it, here's the situation. There is one team that has been working on a Blazor app. It is Blazor WebAssembly. It has a HTTP client that talks to backend services that are written in whatever language they are via HTTP client and API requests. There is another team that does the mobile app, and that mobile app uses a web. Thindal, are you ready to come in to voice channel? Awesome. So I'm pulling in. So I'm telling a little story setup situation of a thingy that I was helping out with yesterday. Yep. Yesterday. So we have one team that works on the WebAssembly front end. They also do the API, but we don't care about what technology the API is in, because from a WebAssembly standpoint, an API is an API. Gives you back JSON or whatever format it promises to give.
That's the whole microservices way of thinking.
Yeah. And then the mobile app, I believe they said, just uses a web view, just a regular web view that is provided by the platform to show their web app, essentially. It's not the same as a Maui app where you're actually doing native C# on the device. So right now it takes their app about 30 seconds to load. Time to live, whatever it's called. Time to total time to interaction.
Oh, talking, time to interactive or time to first paint are usually what you measure.
Time to interactive. And so their client wants them to take that down to 10 seconds and then take it even further down. So their first goal is 10 seconds and then take it down to 5 seconds. And so they showed me all of the stuff that's going on. their API request only takes 2 seconds. And I'm like, but you can still do your API request even before, and show your UI even before the API request is done. So that shouldn't be a bottleneck for your time to interactive. The other issue is we talked about how you can display the page. This is their landing page, by the way. Display the page even before you do any of your API requests to get data for the page, and just have your scaffolding, have skeleton text, have skeleton placeholders for the content. And the issue is the page is a top banner, so a top bar, and then the main content would just be, let's say this is the main content here only. So a card with a form, essentially. And so
That
it's like,
takes,
why? Yeah.
I mean, I came in the middle here, but that takes 30 seconds to interactive
On
today.
some computers, yeah.
Holy.
And so when they showed me the app in practice, it only took about 10 seconds, which is still a lot. So 10 to 12 seconds. And it's because it's loading all of the DLLs through WebAssembly before it even displays any UI. So it's you hit the page for the very first time, and it starts the download for Blazor WebAssembly and all of the DLLs, which typically take anywhere from, and they're all done in parallel, of course, but it takes anywhere from 400 milliseconds to 1.5 seconds. So that should be done within 3 seconds. All of the Blazor, and download all the DLLs. So then the next thing is running those DLLs through the Blazor run, or through the .NET runtime that you've downloaded. That's probably where they have their biggest hangup. The other, and I forgot to tell them that. Now that I'm saying this out loud, I'm seeing that it's loading the actual application. That's probably taking the longest. Beyond that, the API request only takes 2.5 seconds before it gives back information. The reason they can't show a skeleton text for the actual form itself is because the API response is the thing that tells them which form to show on the page. Is the user logged in?
Show something that says that there is a form on the way then, not just anything blank.
Yeah,
just...
exactly. And we're like, the traditional techniques for anything that takes a long time for you to get something from your backend, you still show something to the user to let them know that something is happening.
Apple had a major issue with the first iPhone, where if you open the app, the Maps app, it took literally 15 seconds to open the application, the app. And the test group was really annoyed. So what they did, they just added a spinner. And all of a sudden the problems went away. I mean, it still took just as long.
It's that perception of the app is available now. Even though it's not. It's still loading. But it feels like it's available.
Yep. And I mean, Blazor has that problem today with the initial load, really. But isn't Unified a thing that will really help to solve that?
Okay, so consider that.
Unless I'm mistaken. I'm still really mistaken.
No, you're good. You're definitely thinking in the right direction if this were purely a web app. And only a web app. For whatever reason, not for whatever reason.
Or reasons.
The description, the information that the person that asked for help gave me was the mobile application cannot support if they switch to server, for example. They switch to Blazor server. And I didn't quite understand that, why it wouldn't, but that I just took it at face value. He said, we can't use Blazor server. So Blazor Unified
sounds like they wanted to be able to work like a progressive web
static
app or something.
Web app, or a progressive web app. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I think it is. I think they are publishing it as a static web app, now that I said that out loud. But like you said, it could also be a progressive web app. So they can run it even if there's no connection. Good thinking. So we can't use Unified because we can't switch between server initial load so that we can download the WASM. So what is another what
I have an idea.
another idea that you can come up
Yep.
with? Sorry, I just got a Teams message.
You can modify the loading UI for Blazor.
Exactly.
You can put whatever you
Mhm.
want there while it's loading.
Keep talking.
And we're back to skeletons and cards.
Mhm. Okay,
Show something
so
that looks
that was
like
my
a web
very
page
first
and a
suggestion.
spinner of some kind.
Because we did that for the financial management tracker app. It takes
Yeah.
the financial management tracker app, the 3 seconds it takes to download Blazor WebAssembly WASM. Blazor
Mhm.
WebAssembly WASM. Blazor WASM runtime. So why not still display our landing page and then just not load any of the Blazor stuff, because it's just a static representation of our landing page that you can still click on links and go to those links and stuff.
Yep.
And that works, except again, their landing page is the top nav bar. It's not even a nav bar. It's just, here's our brand name. Here's a darkened section of our page. And then here's the rest of our page. And so I'm like, okay, you can still scaffold out part of that card. Is there content that always displays regardless of which form you have to show? And they're like, there's only one part, and it's please fill out this form. So I'm like,
Yeah,
fine.
but show that and show something
Display
gray
that.
and something that's moving.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, with
Because
the top
there's-
bar, okay, so we can't have the, I don't know, the menu is dynamic. Well, put something there and put something that moves there. Like, I am loading. I'm doing a thing.
So
I'm not
like,
just
number one
sitting here.
thing is that. So, okay, considering that, let's say they did that and it's still just over 10 seconds. What else can they do to make it faster?
Are they loading everything that is loadable in parallel? All
Yes.
of their web API calls.
Absolutely, yes. So that's a good
Can
thought.
they?
But let me tell you this. Now that
Yeah.
you've asked that, that was a very relevant question. They have one API call to load
Okay.
everything.
Can they split that up? Or is there any way to display information as it comes in? Do they need everything in one single burst?
So you gave me two suggestions in one. Do you know what that second one is called? Or I guess, can you name the two that you gave me?
I can't name anything because I'm not a
Okay,
computer
that's fine. No,
scientist
no.
in any way.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm sorry. I was just saying you're coming up with great ideas. These are definitely ideas that I gave them too. So the first one is just splitting up your HTTP, your single API HTTP request into multiple that you can do with an await task. The second one is streaming. So streaming your responses and then populating the information as it becomes available.
Yeah. Streaming,
So-
I have no idea how it works. I just know you can do it. And
In
knowing that you
WebAssembly,
can
it's
do it
kinda
means you
hard.
can figure out how to do it.
Yeah. In WebAssembly, it's kind of hard if you're hosting on IIS, but I believe it works everywhere else. So you just tell it that you want to return async enumerable.
My stupid solution,
What?
without doing anything
Something.
fancy, but doing everything fancy, would be send a HTTP request that you want the stuff and then have it come back over SignalR. That would
Yes,
work.
that would be cool. That's a really good suggestion. So using some kind of WebSocket or other technology that you can set up. But that brings us to our next one. So they split it up, and now they're like, okay, we still want, we get our page to show fast. Now it's showing within the first second because we did the whole mocking the HTTP stuff. Our CSS took a long time to load. I forgot to say that one. But the suggestion that I didn't think of, that the other person that was there helping thought of, is why not use preload?
That works.
I was like, duh. That's a really good idea. So now they're using preload on all of their CSS, and that makes it faster. So the application appears really fast. The user can move their mouse around and it doesn't look like it's frozen or anything like that, but they do have some skeletons. Now, let's say they go to the client, and this is kind of what happened. They go to the client and the client says, well, total time to interactive really means that the form is displayed and the user can fill it out. And so that part is still taking a long time.
Yeah, but it's the perceived time that's important,
client
not
is
the
always
absolute
right.
time.
The client is always
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but I'm like talking reality here, not what the client is saying.
Yes.
I have one question and one suggestion on the CSS.
Okay.
First of all,
All
I
right.
should know what preload does. I don't. Please help me. I need an adult.
I don't 100% know. I just know that it makes it so that the CSS is already available for your site before it tries to load your index.html and
Okay.
everything else.
Yeah.
So you
Here
don't get the
is
whole like we showed your site really fast and then suddenly the font changes because CSS loaded too late.
Here's a really stupid suggestion, which is how we used to do it when we had a lot of CSS to transfer and very bad internet connections. I was going to say shitty, but yeah. We split our CSS files. So you had one in the top, and you had one in the bottom of the document.
They really did. So the first thing that happened was they were using external CSS using CDNs, and they're like, we never really changed those, so they downloaded it, they ship it with the app now, so that went faster, and then they split that up into only the things that they use. So that made sense.
Does their server support HTTP 2?
But they're using app services, so you tell me.
Yeah, I should. Well,
I don't know much about Azure App Services.
Does. Yeah, you know why I asked that, right?
Multi-threading.
Multi-requests.
Multi-requests.
Over a single connection.
HTTP
one opens 1 second, one socket for each request, each resource they want to get. While two can say, I want this list of stuff, please give it to me, and it just rolls in.
Cool. Yeah,
which decreases the load time by a lot. Especially if you have many images, JS files, whatever. You can request all of them at the same time and they just flow in. Okay, so we have a API request that takes 2 seconds. I would cut that up into pieces. I would build out a skeleton with loading cards for as much as possible, even if it's all going to be replaced and changed. Right. Just show the user that there is something there and it's moving. Again, perceived time versus absolute time.
Agreed. But client is still not happy because the form is not showing and available within 5 seconds. So what else? There's one major one that I suggested that I hope is a good idea.
I'm thinking here. Mayday, mayday, we're sinking. What are you thinking about? No, go. Tell me.
Okay, so considering that we've already split up the API, so the API request, into multiple requests where you can maybe get the different portions of the form, because the way that their form is fed to them is it's represented as JSON and then dynamically turned into HTML. At least that's the explanation they gave me. So if they can get that JSON response even before the app loads or even before the app starts trying to load, so right here, right above the framework Blazor WebAssembly script,
gotcha.
And then you have your window.myInterop stuff. This would be, of course, in a separate JavaScript file. Then you do your initial API fetches here in JavaScript, saving the objects into JavaScript. Once Blazor loads, then it does an interop call that says, all right, give me the data that you found so far. And then I'll take over the rest of the request, stop doing the rest of the requests, unless they're in progress.
Fine.
So
I knew you were hella smart. But this brought you to an entirely new level. Holy crap, that was a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from either. It was just like...
As long as you somehow can get a list of things that you've loaded with JavaScript into Blazor, which you can with interop. I don't know if you can read a list directly, but create a function in JavaScript that returns the JSON object, more or less.
Yeah. So
and
it's this right here.
Call that. Yeah.
And then this can also be async, so that if it
Mhm.
is in the process of running, so you start off your process here,
Mhm.
run download or whatever,
Mhm.
and then out here you do my interop.run download, or oh wait,
Yep.
I don't know. It starts going.
Yeah.
Then you have your actual object that is going to store all of your return values or something, which would still probably be registered to this.
Yeah, inside of there, yeah.
But I don't know how to register.
I
Just
don't know
regular
either,
objects.
but yeah, I get the point, and
It'd be
I
an object.
more than 100% agree. This was
Yeah. So then we just sit here and wait for this promise to finish before we actually return values to the interop call. I don't know how to do that though, but I mean that's the concept.
but I mean, I think that it was hella smart, man. Like, really smart. And I just gotta.
So it does sound like it would
check
work
here.
though. That's the thing that I'm concerned about. It's like it's not
it
so left
definitely
field.
seems like it'll work. As soon as you start talking about, script, basically, my lamp just went on here, and like, dang, he is smart. This will work.
Awesome.
This will work. I mean, you can do interop with JS, and as long as you can load the list somehow into JS, you can get it from JS.
Exactly.
And if you can start loading that at the same time that WASM is loading, then you're golden.
Yep. So you do
That
your
would
fetch from your
save,
API.
what, 2 seconds off of it?
Yep.
Also, Zelda is
And there you go.
snoring.
And suddenly it's available. So, yeah, I think maybe for him, the biggest issue is going to be time to interactive because of Blazor WASM. There's nothing that we can do at the moment to make this step faster.
Nope. The only thing you can do is perceived.
Yep.
With that.
Yep.
But
so as long as this part is finished already,
you can decrease the total time with the script preloading. And I think that's pretty much everything you can do there. I mean, you can always profile the Blazor application and figure out where it's spending time and see if you can fix that. But
yep,
there's
and that
no
was the other
magic
thing is
bullet,
the initial
really.
load of the application too. So as soon as Blazor WASM loads, how long does it take for your application to start up so that you can get into your app.razor as fast as possible, or whatever your initial starting component is?
Yeah, and how long does the view take to create the form from the data it has? I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking back. I usually get things working. I don't care about performance, memory usage, whatever. I get things working, then I fix it. So I had a integration that downloaded a file off of FTP, a zip file. Unzipped that, did logic on it, and yada yada. It took 2.5 minutes to run and about 5 gigabytes of RAM. In the end, it took about 3 seconds to run and use 50 megabytes. Because I did it dumb first, and then I looked at it and got it smart. And there's always, I mean, async things, do things in parallel. Figure out, oh, we're reading this in a bad way, or we're enumerating this list multiple times, or whatever. There's always something to do.
Yes, and that's a big one in my app. Like, one thing that we probably should do now that you're mentioning this is look through this app to see those places where I am doing the same thing multiple times when I should not. Like, I'm probably hitting the lookup list download API endpoint multiple times for the same lookup item type. When really I just need to make sure that it only happens once.
Just remember, when you start poking at that, cache invalidation is one of the 3 hard things.
I did not know that. So anyway, thank you for talking with me about that.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, brainstorming, and you were way ahead of me already, so
Well, I mean, I had the conversation already, so it was just really
Yeah.
cool to hear you also come up with the same suggestions.
Yeah.
Kind of helps me
We're
feel
smart
like I'm
people,
not so
you know.
far out in left field.
Hey, you're not. You're not. So, how are you? I mean, maybe you've
Um,
already talked about that, but I'm a bit late
I
here,
haven't.
so.
No worries. Just at my I'm a little higher than my normal level of anxiety, stress, but
That's not good.
it's always there. So
Hmm. Mm.
I have an eye appointment tomorrow. Yay! We get to go see
Yay.
people.
Yay. Have you considered the Quest 3 anymore?
I
And
still
also,
haven't.
yeah.
The main reason why is I'm not very much into full face cover VR.
No. No.
I still prefer augmented reality. I want augmented reality to be the only thing. If you want to get
Mhm.
completely immersed, then it should be VR secondary, but
Yeah.
AR
So
first.
you want like the HoloLens with see-through first and add objects
Yeah.
instead of paint the real world.
Yeah.
And
And I
then
mean, it's
objects on
kind of
top.
cool. I do like the Quest for its pass through. It's gotten a lot better from what I saw in videos.
Oh yeah. From what
Like
I saw
the
as well.
black
I
and
don't
white
have
film.
one, but I want one.
But it still looked like it had some artifacts, like some warbliness to it. And the other cool thing about VR with AR secondary is you get to overlay the objects on top, so occlusion works so much better
Hmm. Yeah.
with the full visor pass
Yeah.
through.
I can agree.
I
So
would
it's
love
one
to
of those,
see.
want need things right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I want it so much that I almost need it. The issue is I'm still between contracts, so I'm bleeding money, and it's a very bad time to go make big purchases.
Yeah. They are fairly inexpensive from what I hear, like $400 US, $500 US.
Not here, not here.
Oh, jeez.
With some with like an extra battery pack, which also like balances the headset a lot, so you have a little bit more weight behind your head as well.
I have this.
It'll be about 1,000 here in Sweden.
The 1,000 megawatt hour, 10,000 kilowatt hour.
It's
I don't know what it is.
a normal-ish power bank, or
Yeah. So it has that's surprising. It doesn't have USB-C, but it has micro USB and 2 USB 3 ports.
Yeah, but I think the HoloLens 2 came out just just in the middle there where things were switching over.
Yep.
Really. Yeah. Same with my
I
headphones. They're also micro B.
It would just be fantastic to figure out what the next step is from head-mounted displays. It would just be really, really nice to have a
Plug straight into
device.
the brain.
Yeah, that would be one cool thing. Or like things that don't require physical augmentation. It's just really, really difficult to know what that would look like. Is it a whole bunch of cameras and projectors that are positioned in places throughout your home, throughout the world? Speaking of the devil, as we're talking about mixed reality, here is Mr. Mixed Reality himself, Solo Solipsist, who will probably be streaming today, and if he does, we're going to be raiding over there after our stream. If he's not already streaming. But yeah, so like what does it actually look like to project holograms into our physical world without needing augmentations on our human self?
Yeah.
Internal augmentations. Like contacts,
I think
or
that's going to be
clamping
difficult.
something around your optic nerve, plugging directly into the brain.
Yeah, I think that's going to be difficult, but I don't know. I mean, making holograms inside of those multi-layered glass things. We use different, I don't know, strengths or something to make the light disperse. I'm using the wrong words.
Oh yeah.
At different heights from the from the emitter, I guess. That's probably something like what that does.
Yeah.
But as soon as, I
So-
mean, you can't go without a substrate. You can't go do that
Yeah, exactly.
without like a box to
For
do it
now, that's what we think for now. Like, what if there is science that follows our laws of physics that says if you pass these two types of particles together, then they will pass through any solid object, but once they collide, they will produce light.
What
That's
we
the
need
kind
to
of thing
do
that I'm
is
talking about.
we need to generate a ton of micro black holes that will bend the light as it's being projected from the bottom.
Yes. Like my prediction, here's my future prediction. In the future, I don't know how long, we will have devices that will emit particles that are non-harmful to ourselves, to our environment, that will only interact with each other, and it is two paired particles through entanglement that as soon as they collide in space, they will emit the correct amount of light. Maybe three
Photon
particles.
of
who
some
knows?
kind with a specific wavelength or yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that will be a pixel in 3D space, essentially.
Yeah.
Point cloud. And then that
That
is how
could
we will
work.
generate holograms in wherever we want them to appear.
Yeah. I mean, if we just do antiparticles, those will annihilate and cause
I
an
don't know what
energy burst,
antiparticles
which
are.
could be photons. Well, an anti-electron is a positron.
Oh.
You know, antimatter.
Hmm. Hmm.
And matter and antimatter touch, they annihilate each other and give off energy. For example,
Yeah.
photons. The problem is they give off a lot of energy, as in
Oh,
explosions.
okay. Okay. That
Plus,
would be
like
bad.
I think we made some like 15 grams or something of antimatter during our entire history of poking with antimatter. It is difficult to make, to say the least.
Yeah, I really like this concept for personalized experiences, I guess. If you're going to have something in a static location, then these things
Yeah.
are cool. Like I saw one that was, I don't know, maybe 10 inches deep, and you could move around it, and depending on how you were looking at it, you had that 3D perspective on it. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
that only works from one angle, right?
Oh no.
You
So
can't move
this,
around it?
like if you walked around it, then you would see the 3D image. So like you would see the backside, or I guess you wouldn't really see the backside because it's only from this not emitting, visible.
Yeah, but if
from
I
the front
stood to
pane.
the side, I could see it from like a 45-degree angle or...
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the other one
Solo,
called?
I
Solo?
definitely know what that is. I definitely know what that is as well.
Novel view synthesis, really? Do you remember what the name of the little? You have two images that are on the same plane, or on two different planes, but you have a polarized lens, so that depending on the viewing angle, it does the whole looks like it's moving thing. I can never remember what that's called.
Yeah, we just call them holograms here.
Lenticular. See, I knew he was gonna know.
Yeah, that's the, the striped ones, more or less, right?
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is essentially that technology taken to 1,000,000.
Okay. So magic.
Yes, magic. And not only that, but you can also do multiple or moving images, not just static images.
And entirely different images. I've seen those on billboards, for example. Where you see one thing, and then as you get closer to it, it changes to another ad.
Oh
You
yeah,
get twice
those
the
are
ad
like
for the same
mechanical.
money.
Yeah, those are mechanical. But I'm talking about this thing you can actually play
Oh,
video
yeah,
through,
yeah.
like 3D video.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking of the lenticular thing.
There's
from
also
different-
Lightbox. Lightbox? No. What's here's another one. What is the product that is the full body version of this thing.
Are you talking about the thing that they made the Mandalorian with?
I have no idea.
They did that in like a full coverage screen box, more or less, and then Unreal Engine makes all of the backdrops, so it kept track of where the camera was when they shot it and changed the background to match the camera angle.
Oh yeah, I think that's different.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that technology where it's a huge OLED essentially.
Yeah, pretty
so that
much.
It feels more like the environment as opposed to a green screen.
Yeah, I mean the environment put light on the actors without them
Yep.
needing to try to post it in. It was actual light.
I thought
Because
that
the
was
scene
great.
was orange, for example. So yeah.
But this is the thing that I was talking about. I don't actually still know what the product name is, but it's this box that is essentially one of those things that we just showed, except scaled to human size. So he's being recorded with a 3D camera here. He's being projected or displayed in this display device. He's not actually standing there. This is the quality of what you see. So you can imagine this.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a
storefronts.
lie. He's not human sized. He's like 90% human sized.
Yeah, it does look a little smaller here. It could just be perspective, though.
Could be, could be. Or they made it almost human sized.
Really cool stuff.
Now we can't even believe in Santa. Santa's in the box.
It's real. What you mean? You can even do magic in there.
Yeah.
I like how there's a shadow too. All the way back. That's crazy. Did you guys watch the Lex Friedman podcast with Mark Zuckerberg recently? I haven't watched a lot of his podcasts, or
I haven't seen anything.
His name. The ones that I watched were when he was talking with Don Hoffman. That's about it. Those things are interesting to me. But they de-zoned. They demoed some very lifelike avatar tech. Interesting. I need to get rid of this one. I need to be in this browser. YouTube. Actually, it was right there. I just saw it. Dang, there were like 3. Oh, wow. Yep.
Is that?
So I have seen this technology before, for sure.
Yeah, but that's not Inside Out.
What do you mean Inside Out?
Yeah, he has a very fancy camera, right? He's not just.
I mean, he
wearing
does have a fancy
VR
camera,
headset.
but this is inside of a mixed reality experience.
Yeah.
So this is his avatar.
Yeah, but his tracking isn't. Oh, it is headset tracked? That's kind of insane.
Yeah, so the thing about the Quest 3 specifically, this is the only real thing that I know about it, I guess, is that it has slightly downward facing cameras. So that's how it can do facial expressions and some torso movements.
Oh. Yeah, that's the Pro that he's using.
Well,
but
there you go. He's using the Quest Pro.
that is insane. Mark looks exactly the same, slightly lifeless.
Just alien, that's all.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I was gonna wear my Meet Me in the Metaverse shirt today, but I'm really, really just wanting to not really call it the Metaverse anymore.
No.
But yeah, really cool stuff.
Yeah. See,
But
I want one
this
even
is
more
really...
now.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want one even more now.
This is really impressive for people that want to look like themselves in the metaverse or in whatever mixed reality experience they are using. And I want like extreme customization. Like maybe I don't even want to look humanoid. Maybe I just want to look like a floating ball of gas. Still
No
translate
comments.
myself.
No comments.
+1, metaverse as a term is pretty
Yeah.
played out. I agree.
I can definitely agree. I think it was played out as soon as I heard it. It's like,
Yeah.
this is stupid. Let's call it virtual.
DFlux is back.
Hey, DFlux.
I got tagged in something. I
Accurate.
get tagged in. Unicorn utterances.
DFlux, are you
Oh,
talking?
Yes, I'm talking, man. I'm literally breathing, deep breath. You know.
From your conversation.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if
I
you
had a
weren't here
nice
for that,
conversation.
Thindal DFlux got a call while he was in the middle of explaining a situation that's going on with the app no, he was just talking about the apps that he was working on, essentially.
Yeah, I was talking a couple different things. I have I don't call it a situation. I call it like a sort of, I don't know, a sort of jam. You know, when you find yourself in a jam, you're like, oh man, I'm really in a jam. I sort of find myself in these jam, and it so happens that the people that want to dig me out come with plastic baby food spoons, and they think they're going to help. They're not. Uh, oh, I
I
just
like
get,
the analogy.
Fine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I got myself in a jam. I'm enjoying it really. It's stressful, but I enjoy it. You know, it's just part of the
Mhm.
game.
I know the sentiment. Oh, except that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
treat them as games. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You man. If you get bored at work, you got to find yourself a better game. There's tons of games out there.
I don't treat it as a game though. So I don't.
I'm a big sort of Alan Watts nerd, and he sort of says everything's a sort of game if you really think about it.
Yeah, my project manager says that too.
Ah,
Just not my mentality. It doesn't work for me. Is all I'm trying to say.
yeah. And everyone's different, which is really cool. Oh.
Maybe I'm way off misunderstanding things, but if we're talking gamification, that always gets me. Every single freaking time.
It's I mean, kind of is gamification. It's treating whatever, and I'm going to call it situations again. Whatever situations arise as some kind of level in a game, some kind of challenge to overcome. So, like
Okay.
you have
Yeah.
to do the right things in order to win at that thing.
But do you get points? Because I want the points.
You can give yourself points.
Give me my plus 50 points when I solve the problem. So I can, yes, I'm on the high score.
But yeah, it was funny. So I had one of newly minted roles that sort of got invented, and this gentleman who has that role is a cool guy, and he recently said this is an invented role, and it's kind of obvious this role has massive overlap with people who are very incompetent in their job. It's like when someone has the same authority and same ability, but they have just a different title that does the exact same thing. And so he was like talking with me, like as I was walking through like what we're doing, how we're doing it, and he's like, "Oh, I can see why you're frustrated." And I was like, "Yeah, this is hilarious." And I showed him a couple chestnuts from the sort of graveyard of times gone by of like when people send me certain emails and this sort of thing. Is like, "Oh man, that's just too funny." So I did a little bit of sharing, I had a little bit of fun because I went through like the grievances. It's like, "Yeah, we're gonna fix this on Monday, don't you worry." So it's good conversation.
I like it when good conversations happen. I've been having some pretty better experiences when I've been communicating with my project manager lately.
Awesome, that's
It's been
fantastic.
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It
I mean, I'm
hasn't
still
always been
frustrated at the
great, so-
not really respecting my time thing, but at least the conversations and the way that we communicate with each other has improved.
Do they respect your opinions and the work
Yeah.
you do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good start.
And that was a big pain point for me. Was I know that I'm new to the project. However, I have demonstrated competency, and here are the things that I've done. Here are the responses from the client and their happiness with it. And here are
Satisfaction.
other things that I've done. Those kinds of things.
Just
But he
just
still,
gonna
he
run
still
and get
struggled with.
my Surface tablet real quick, but I got my headphones on.
He still struggled with like I don't know. I have this other guy here and he wants to do it this way. Like, okay, sure, I'll go along with it. There are going to be these issues down the line. I just want to make you aware of that. Oh, no, they're going to be good. And then those issues come up. And it happened enough times that project manager is like, okay, what do you think about this? All right, Solo, we'll see you soon, I think.
Biggest issue
Um,
is when someone
Hey.
has an opinion and it becomes the right opinion just because it's theirs.
Yes.
Some people
Goodness, yeah.
they stop thinking about discussions and democracy more or less, and it's just that guy was right last 5 times. Let's not even discuss it. Just do what he says.
A lot of that, I happen to, and one online has faulted me for maybe making this mistake, and I use some absolutive terms sometimes. So, and I particularly like
Such
those
a
terms, and purposefully use those terms in a very precise way. And sometimes I get sloppy with that, but most of the time I like to think that I really do. But a lot of the times, I find the situation comes across where really you ought to get something significant and meaningful done in a set period of time. And so the time for discussion about ways we could be doing things versus the proven mechanism we're going to be continuing to use and other people want us to use. And someone sort of has to sort of take a leadership role there and be like, actually, we're going to start here and move forward. And if it turns
Right.
a different way, we'll go that way. But for today, this week, this month, this quarter,
Right.
these things have to get done.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I find myself, I have a couple of team members. I'm by far not the oldest, but I'm not certainly the youngest. And we have a couple of the young bucks sort of, hey, why don't we just do it completely differently? It's like, well, yeah, maybe just listen.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. But the last customer I was at, we had one guy, and what he said was law. Didn't matter what he said. It's like the team is
It was
doing
like that
what
for a
he says,
while.
even if he tells us to delete everything and start over. And
It
that
definitely felt
works
like that.
poorly. I mean, you need to be able to have a discussion about pros and cons with different things. Sometimes it's just hunker down, get stuff done, and that means you need a leader. But you also have to be able to discuss things in a group, figure out what the best solution is. And in some
That would
things,
be
you
the
really
nice
can't.
thing. The discussion part would be really nice for us. It really is. He'll decide there's a thing that needs to be done and he'll do it his way without discussion, even though it's something that affects all of the devs on the team. One thing that I wanted to remark on that though is I forgot. It was related to what you were saying, Thindal. One person saying this is law. Oh, no, it was related to what DFlux said. And it was another angle of the situation where here's the existing code, here's the approach that we have been taking up to this point, here are the things that need to get done today. There's probably a better way that we could have done these other things, and that would make this thing easier that we could go back and do now. But we need to get this done, so let's just do it the way we have been going. There comes a time when when I have realized on our team that we are never going to get to the point where we can go back and change the methodologies
Yes.
to the better
I
approach.
have a strict. Yeah, I have a strict. We call them maintenance sprints, where you can only do maintenance, or we have an emphasis on maintenance, and that's something that I personally took on, and I said, though, you must have these. You have to have these, and I've been saying that for about a year or so, and we're in our second maintenance sprint right now. So that's really important.
Absolutely, it's just we don't have the budget, and by budget I mean whatever the client says goes, kind of thing, to be able to do that.
Yeah, and well, that's one of the things as well. When we do these maintenance sprints, there's an emphasis on maintenance, but we're still actively developing. We're not pausing development for 1 second. We're still actively developing, but we're having emphasis on the maintenance items that pick up some of that technical debt and sort of order things appropriately. Now, in hindsight, we have a better idea of what the processes are. And we talk a lot about domain-driven design, and we talk a lot more about how the application is actually structured, right, and how we can effectively do things. and hopefully we learn a little bit at the next time something comes along. We now have opened up those appropriate paths, but we don't wait until the appropriate path comes along. What we do is we proactively plan for that appropriate path to be there, at least not accident, is on purpose. And I think that's
that
really the
sounds
distinction.
nice. That's a really, really good approach, and I wish our team could adopt that. I may just suggest that. Be like, can we actually say to the client in a respectful, thoughtful way, we're going to take the next sprint to do maintenance.
Well,
And here are the things that we will work on during that time.
I'll ask it to you this way: you as a team, you guys have PTO. You don't have to tell me how much PTO, but you guys, like 3 weeks is typically like a standard PTO for a software developer, I'd say.
We have non-billable time.
Right, but
that's what we have.
So are you? Well, I'll ask. I hope you don't mind. You don't have to share if you don't want to. Are you solely commission based? That is, if you do 0 billable hours, you get $0 in a paycheck, or you get like a fixed pay plus some.
Some of the team is like that. The Sagetti W2 employees are not. Sagetti W2 employees get paid by Sagetti on an hourly basis, regardless of whether we have a client or not.
And
Over
so,
here, most consultants and contractors are pretty much 95% salary. Doesn't matter if you have a job or not, and like 5% bonus if you reach certain goals. But those goals don't have to be 100%. Could be 80.
Here's how I would sort of think about it in terms of like when introducing it to say a customer that might be adverse to the idea. The way I think about it is when I plan things, when we as a team, I'm just sometimes I think I lead the thing, I'm not. But when I sort of plan it out in my head, I'm like, well, that dude's going to take at least a month off over the next like 3-4 months because he's got a sick father or whatever, and that guy's got a back issue, so he can only work 4 hours, and this guy's going to do this, and that guy's going to play League of Legends for half the fucking day because he's lazy. And so I have to sort of plan that in.
I've never done that.
No, never. And so I got to sort of plan that in. So when I think about maintenance sprint, what I'm actually doing is I'm invigorating my team rather than go play League of Legends, rather than bitching about your back. Let's just put an extra hour in and figure out what's the best move that's going to make our lives easier for us, so we don't have such trouble with the customer. I might not even tell the customer. I would just be like, well, John's off ill this week, say. But in reality, I'm actually just slightly shifted the focus towards maintenance, and they're all still billable hours. Every single hour is billable. You're just focusing exactly what you're doing a little bit more in maintenance, and so you're just bringing back and you're reinvigorating the team, and a reinvigorated team will take less days off. They will clock out, they will just, they won't just do 20 minutes in and go, fuck it, this is at the end of the day, I'll just clock out. They will do the full hour because they're doing something that really matters. And so that's where you buy that extra time. You have to bill the customer a dollar more. It should cost them exactly the same amount of money. You shouldn't have to go to the customer at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately for us, when we do plan time off, so it's not paid time off, it's going to be planned time off for us. We put it on the calendar and let everyone on the team know, including the stakeholders, which is so dumb.
Yeah, but well, I'm really talking about. I'm not talking about PTO.
No. I'm saying that if we tell the client that so and so is not going to be available during those hours, the client hears that as okay, that we're not going to get billed for those days or hours.
Yeah, I want to think about like what the client would think when you did that in terms of production levels, and so I had to explain it. So you're not necessarily like not taking days off or lying about days off or anything like that. What you're doing is you will find that most people one way it was explained to me was, how long does it take you to fill your car? Okay, because when you go to the gas pump and let's say you're filling your car from, well, you electric bastard, hold on. Yeah.
No. I don't have an electric car. I just don't drive anywhere.
Even smarter. No, okay, but play with the hypothetical.
Yes, yeah, okay. So let's say it takes me about 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't know how long it takes.
It really depends on the day of the week. And they actually studied this. This is true.
Okay.
When people fill out their cars on lunch, in between two things that are actually important, they fill up so quickly. It's like the pump worked at double the speed magically. However, if they fill up their car, maybe Sunday afternoon or Saturday, midday sometime, it takes like they go in, they say, well, I pay by cash and maybe I'll maybe I'll play a lottery card. Maybe I'll maybe buy you know what I mean. That's, or maybe, hey, how's it going to the cashier, the local girl that's minding, say, how are you doing? And maybe you stop on the way home, maybe think of pick up some groceries, maybe you say hi to your neighbor. All of these things add to the so filling up your car on the weekend may take hours out of the day. Filling up during the weekday, maximum it can even be is like 20 minutes. You got to drive to the place,
Right.
you got to get back in the hour lunch break, but the actual result is identical, right? You still fill up the car the exact same amount, you still pump the exact same amount of gas that you've got in your, and so that's why I think about it. What you got to do is you got to organize your team in such a format to where you get that 10 minutes here, instead of like yapping on Teams for 10 minutes, they're actually going, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can be engaged, I can do things that matter. And when you're doing things that matter, you really do focus, and focus is a times multiplier on productivity. I'm sort of preaching to the choir because you're a lot more productive than I am.
No, I like that. I'm liking this. This is good information.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that when I talk about doing things in maintenance, what I go is like, I go to my team, and in a way, I do sort of still, you got to sculpt them. You don't do whatever you want. It's like you got to sculpt them into something. But you go, what would make development life for you a lot better? Because we're going to prioritize the things that you want. And they go in there like, if we get the team together, we could do this. This will be fantastic for the next UI update we've got to do. The next Angular page. If we could just get those old Angular pages in the exact same uniform order, the next one's gonna be so much easier. And you get all those 10-minute conversations and all that little faffing about and clocking in and checking your emails for too long, or playing on your phone, or all those, they immediately go away. You now have hours and hours and hours to play with. That, again, you're billing the customer the exact same amount of money anyway, but they're now invigorated on the topic. And that's called maintenance, because it matters to developers. It doesn't matter to anybody else. It matters to developers. So the developers are the one that should have to pay for it, really.
Right. Yeah. And so one thing that happened in line with what you said is we had a situation where we have two separate repos, and I've described this before, so I'm just going to try to be brief about it. Two separate repos. One that's the back end libraries for our desktop app, which are all of the functionality stuff, and then the front end repo, which is the main UI. And because we have some changes that happen in that backend one, which were NuGet packages, so we'd have to make changes to that, publish the NuGet packages, and we have sister changes in the UI branch that uses those new objects and stuff that might come with this new NuGet package. We couldn't do the PR with this one until we did the shared packages, and that could take 10 minutes between each one, so the build is broken sometimes in between them, and then it still takes another 30 minutes to do the PR plus. So anyway, we were supposed to have a discussion on how to make this easier for us to maintain, and the discussion that I was hoping to have is, here are some options for having everything in a monolith repo, or not monolith repo, monolith solution, even though they're two separate repos. And again, we were supposed to discuss it, but halfway through me coming up with these discussion points, the other person just did their approach, and it broke a lot of things, and it's now still the thing that we use, and it's really terrible to maintain.
Yeah, I sympathize. We're still to this day using raw SQL commands, in, like, on really minor cases still. I introduced Entity Framework, in particular code first, and we are 2 tables in now on an entirely code first approach on Azure development. Everything else has been converted, in reverse in data first, but to Entity Framework, other than like I have this .NET framework thing that I can't be set to deal with anyway, and it's not really my responsibility, so that's okay. And in fact, I think that actually got removed, and I think I want to say that they did fix it, but to do it a different way through to REST call rather than.
Are your raw SQL queries at least using parameterized SQL parameters?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't care to look. They were using the technology, and I was like, we're not doing it anymore. All future development is not that. And we had an agreement, and I had to sell them on Entity Framework, which took about 4 months. I had to actually sell them, and because a lot of the interactions with Entity Framework they had was in the framework WinForm situation, I want to say the older 4.7.2 framework situation
Yeah,
with the ADO.NET.
I think the
driver.
main version that was used with that was EF6, not EF Core. So.
Yeah, well, yes, and so they hadn't really seen the benefits that we've seen in Core, especially with the each version getting better. And so when I started to demo that, and I was like, wait a minute, we can even have it do all the SQL code for us. They were like, oh, that's nice. And so it only once I sold them on the game, then they were like, how can I do Entity Framework the next time I have a question? And then they started doing it themselves. And I work with about 6 people on my team, on 7 people team, and about I would say four and a half of them know when to ask a question. The other couple just kind of just do their thing, and you have to sort of interview, what do you do? What are you doing? And then you sort of have them explain it out and say, what tell me what you're doing before you do it. And then they go, oh, I could do this. I could do this way Jim did it last week. And it's like, yeah, you can. And then they get it.
Pattern matching.
Yeah, but you still have to sort of inject yourself an interlude. It's like, hey, can I join the call because you're doing things you're not supposed to be. But it's a learning process. So I go it on approach of selling the technical aspect to the technical people, as opposed to doing anything with our actual pretty much whenever I do anything, I don't touch our project. The code I produce, nothing to do with our project. I'm just selling the idea, the technology, and the simplicity, and I sell what they want, and then they figure out how they figure out the actual what that means for their development, what they want to do with their next thing, rather than me coming up with solutions for the actual project we actually have, because that's a lot more complex, and it's not really something I'm authorized to do anyway, so I don't do it.
Guys, I will be right back.
Oh, I was about to be
Also,
right
I'm very
back.
quiet, so I'm right back first.
I'll share my screen, and you'll see the horrible code that I actually write, and you go, oh my god, I'm not using the DFlux anymore. No, but no, I have been cleaning up, and you can step away if you need to. I don't know.
I don't know. I could wait. I was going to contribute to that because working in a team, as you know, definitely you know this because you've been around for a million years. I was working for the most part solo, and then I had a junior developer that I was working with as well. But now working on a team as just a dev person, sure, I have a title, senior application developer, or senior developer, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just one of 4 developers on this team. And it's a really odd experience for me. The personality stuff it's interesting. It's been fun to try to figure out how to navigate.
I always think of it like I'm a part of the Scooby Gang, and so in the Scooby Gang, each of the flaws of the characteristics of each of the people in the gang actually come together inadvertently to catch the criminal. Right, and it's always like Scooby running away from the thing, actually running into the gold mine or whatever it is. The whole process and all that. And so we're part of the Scooby Gang, and all my flaws are play into them because they're actually going to help in the long run. And if you are flawed, it's okay to think about it and talk about it and do stuff about it. And if you're in an environment of people that you share with, and then they take that and use that against you, those people are bad actors. Get rid of them. And this is one of the things that I've fired people without being their manager. I've fired people that had clearly beneath them, and I'd still fired them. They didn't show up to work the next day, and I had to explain why I actually fired them. But some people need fired, and it's just too bad. It's like when you fall in love with somebody, or you have a serious relationship with someone, even just a friendship with somebody, you're not going to just immediately be friends with everyone on the planet Earth on the point of being nice. There's some incompatibility and compatibility with people, and time is one of those compatibilities. Sometimes people aren't ready to be a good friend. Some people aren't ready to be a decent co-worker, and I'm sorry, well, you've got to be ready when you're working with me. And so I hunt those people down that are willing to be ready, and I do what I can to push away people that aren't ready. Like the gentleman who sent me this email earlier today, and I shared with my boss. I'm not replying to this email. I don't understand why he's sending me this email. I'm gonna sidestep this issue and have a different approach. And they were excited to hear that, because they honestly, I sent to my boss, I was like, I would reply to this email, but I don't think it's good for the team if I do it. And he replied back, I half wrote an email and I decided the same, that it would be bad for me and my career if I reply to this email. It's best that we don't do it because there's no real winning with these people, and so it's just better to find a good solution and go that route instead.
Interesting.
Even if that means further hostilities, and we're going to be hostile because we have to be, and we're going to be hostile because we really have to be. Yeah, because if you bow down, it's like with time management is a really important one. If you bow down, if you just immediately reply to everybody's thing, they'll assume that your time is meaningless, and they can DM you at any time during the day, and you will immediately hop on a phone call and drop whatever it is you're doing and start doing what they want you to do. And that
There
is
is an
not
alternative still. There's an alternative to hostility, an alternative to being a doormat still. And that's you get those initial contacts, you respond to them in a timely manner, and you say, this is happening often, so here are the impacts of if you keep doing this, as opposed to a hostile.
So, who would you send that to?
To the person. So for example, one of the people on one of the stakeholders really just has been, I've talked with them before and I've said, if you look at my calendar, here are the times that are blocked off that I'm unavailable. And they have repeatedly tried to schedule, because I accepted once and I shifted my calendar for that day around. I accepted a meeting invite once, and I told them during that meeting, this is during a time that I would normally have blocked off. I'm usually not available this time. Do you want me to shift my calendar so that in the future you could use this time? And he's like, no, don't do that. And then consecutive times he has tried to schedule something during that time, and I said, I'm not going to be available during these times, just to let you know. So I'm going to decline these. And again, not hostile, not abrasive, not confronting, just informing. And he was cool with that. So,
yeah. I mean, and there's no real, I always commend you on your sort of very logical level-headedness with some of these, throughout the years you've been put into scenarios and you've just been attacked, that I think is very commensurate to a very diplomatic person. I strive to be diplomatic as well.
I'm back.
Yeah. Welcome back.
I've said it before, but it's because my main mentality is everyone deserves some minimum level of respect. And to me, what that means is the way that I interact with them is a little bit more cordial than they maybe deserve. So it could be someone that's completely belligerent, someone that is completely offensive and being angry. I'm still going to treat them with whatever my base level of respect is.
Yeah,
I think that sounds like a healthy outpoint.
I think you can be aggressive and respectful. You can be
assertive
intentional.
Would be the word.
Yeah, assertive. You can be assertive and respectful. You could be intentional and direct and respectful. And when I am direct, I'm doing it in the most respectful way possible, and that's why I didn't reply to that email, because I haven't quite collected things together here. And I don't know whether my level of directness is going to come off as in a respectful manner.
Because again, like you said before, and I'm sure you can definitely talk about this point, but it's not up to you to decide how someone takes what you say. But in a lot of cases, you still can probably, if you use a little bit of intuition, if you use a little bit of pattern matching, then you'll see, all right, when I have talked like this, people have responded in a harsh or reactive manner. How can I maybe change the approach without being fake, without losing the actual meaning behind it?
Yeah.
And it's, again, all of these things are balances where it's like, how far do I bend over in order to say something to someone that they aren't just going to explode at?
Yeah, it does. I have a slight bad habit. I am on the YouTubes, and there's a gentleman or a group, or I don't know who I follow, and they FOIA request body cam footage from local law enforcement in my area. And they
Freedom of information.
Freedom of information request say, hey, that's public record, and we want to share what our local law enforcement is getting up to, and how they're acting. And invariably, it is always the case that there are some people And this is not the case in business. This is one of the unique things, one of the brilliant things about business. You never find this in business. But out in the real world, out in like the sort of sphere of the world, there are some people that cannot be talked to. They cannot, drunk people, this sort of thing, violent people. There is no talking to these people. Unfortunately for them, it's silence and sort of sit and think time, and there is no talking them down. You can sort of talk nicely to them and hope they, sort of try and get the best out of them, but more than likely they're going to try and kick the cop in the face and kill the cop or whatever. And so I always, and what I'm saying there is, and I do this a lot with also when I DJ. This is very important to remember who is paying you, because very often, invariably, someone shows up at the DJ booth. So I'm the grandmother's aunt, sister, and the bride says, "Play this song right now." Like, oh, you're not paying me any money, and you're not signing my check, so I'm going to stick to what I was told to do by the bride before, the wedding and when we planned it all out anyway. And so it's the same thing. And it's like, if you're in business with somebody, stick to being in business with them, because that's the most opportunistic, most honest place to be. And try and avoid a scenario where you're no longer in business. And even if, and I've had, and I'm sure you have too, at some point in your life.
Yeah, I'm going to be listening, just so you know, but I do need to be right back.
All right.
Go ahead. But yeah, at some point in your life, you've gone ahead and made an honest mistake, perhaps even causing damage to your client. And maybe you deleted something you weren't supposed to, or you make a settings change and actually reset something else you didn't realize, and now they're down and out for the next 3 hours. And a lot of people, when that happens, say, well, did you bill them for the 3 hours that you kind of repaired the mistake you just made? It's like, absolutely I bill them every single hour. And the reason is because they have purchased into you as an individual. They have purchased, they had to do business with you. And if you don't bill them those hours, you're no longer in business. That's a bad place to be. Now, you could be, if you really do mess up and you cost significant damage, you bill them maybe at 80% or 70% of the rate you typically do, maybe as low as 50% if you really do mess up. But you always bill them. It's important to stay in business and keep the ball rolling. As long as you're focusing on that, it really doesn't matter how big the mistake is. It really doesn't matter, because there's always another day, there's always another way of doing it, and there's always another company out there willing to take on your skills. Even if you do lose a customer here and there, it's okay. It's like keep the ball rolling. I've had customers that we had a misunderstanding. They got upset and they go away for a year, and then a year later they call me back and like, we tried this other company, or this other guy came in and he didn't work out at all, and we realized that he actually did a really good job, and we just had a disagreement and we want to rehire you. And those sorts of conversations are tough for them, but they're willing to have them because it keeps the ball rolling.
Yeah, and as I say, they're hiring you. Snafus happen. You might need to, lower your billable for a bit, but never work for free.
Right.
Because that just sets a bad precedent all around.
Yeah.
I do have one situation where I work for free.
Ooh.
Warranty services.
What?
Warranty services.
Technically, you made a promise, and you're maintaining the promise. You don't get; they're not billable hours, but you're it's like stock value. You're increasing your stock value by maintaining your promise. So you're paying yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still logging it in, like time logs and stuff, saying. But I mean, first of all, I believe that the products that I produce, and again, I'm speaking in broad terms, even though there's only one instance of this, but the products I produce are without defect, and we won't need to use the warranty service, but just in case.
Well, it's like distinction between the products you produce. Even when I did warranty service, I would still bill them for the hours I spent, and it's because the warranty will be with a manufacturer, right? And I'd be responsible for getting the warranty done, set up, and repaired and replaced and so on. And so all that's still billable hours. The part that I'm replacing is obviously free, because that's part of what the manufacturer's doing. But I've still got to handle it, and I've still got to ship it, and I've got to hold it. And let's say the customer says they don't want it, well, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with this $10,000 thing that I can't sell anymore. And so all of those hours are still billable, Now, if it's something that I myself have produced, even if I send my, even if I recently had to send my robot vacuum cleaner for warranty service. Before they even will bother to look at it, I have to give them $35 up front. That's just that they have that to get it through the door, and invariably, if you need service, it gets credited towards the service, and if it is covered 100% by the warranty, it gets refunded. But you at least have to be willing to give them $35 from start just to get it in, and that obviously I think covers shipping and keeps the weirdos away. But that's a good way to do warranty service at the same time as keep the ball rolling. Because invariably, if someone's doing warranty service with you, they still want to do future business with you, and so you can still build them.
Yeah. And let me clarify then, the warranty service is for software products that I produce.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you promise something, a feature will work, and it didn't work on the first day, I mean, first of all, you've messed up. Second of all,
yeah, I mean, we've done, by this point, we've done,
if you have to leave some kind of warranty service on that, make darn sure that the invoice says how many hours you spent, and then give them a discount, which might be 100% on that, if that makes sense. So you can see that you did work. But
yeah, I'm definitely
early when you deliver something, it works.
I would say one of the other things I would think about doing it, if that came across to me and I had a piece of software that I was doing warranty service on, invariably there's always stuff you could do better with software. Invariably there's always just one more feature. There's always one more thing you can add. And so if someone came to me,
this is existing functionality stuff.
Yeah. Well, say someone came to me and says, "Oh, I need a warranty service because this thing just stopped working today and I've got errors and I don't know what to do." You'll say, you are the warranty person. I would go, absolutely, it's covered by your warranty. But since we're here, the other feature you've been asking for, why don't we couple this together? I'll do the warranty work for free, and I'll put the hours in that I'm doing, and I also build out this new feature or the feature that you've been asking for that we didn't have time the last quarter to fit in. And then very simply, obviously, a little bit like the maintenance thing we were talking about earlier, you will then focus in on the let's say they're expecting you to do 10 hours of warranty and 10 hours of new product, the feature design. So you do 8 hours of warranty, and that extra 2 hours you carry over, and that gives you an extra 4 hours basically of free development time that you're paying yourself for. And so you're effectively billing, or not even, you just do 10 and 10, and you're billing at half rate. You're still billing for every single hour. So that's how I would approach that. And typically, I'm thinking more for myself in terms of, obviously, my background is more in IT services for small businesses, and so typically there's always something else we can always do another. Let's check the walkthrough. Let's make sure there's no ransomware loopholes here. Let's make sure nobody's gone and forwarded a port somewhere unbeknownst to us. There's always things to do, and so the customer always wants and says, "Hey, can I get a little deal on this since you're doing me a favor here?" And they're always willing to negotiate that in because they know it's good for them and they know it's good for us, and they know they're getting a deal and they know we're getting a deal.
Thindal?
Huh?
You had a thing. You were going to say a thing.
No, I think that was the thing.
Welcome back, Peter. So in my situation, because everyone's situation is different, of course, you know that I am pretty much doing everything all at the same time. So the warranty service is a safety net. It's not used. You have 45 days from the date that the application is deployed to production and has been accepted, marked as accepted. And accepted is a specific term in the contract that has a very specific definition. So once the product is accepted, 45 days to fix any defects. Defects is also another term that is properly described and defined that says existing functionality, a whole bunch of other things that are worded by some legal team that knows better than anyone else, and just says during that time you will do any repairs to those functionality things without charge. But at the same time, I'm still working on the new features already on existing hourly programming support that is billable. So yeah.
Perfect. And the other part of that too, is if you understand your fault tolerance, and businesses that do this a lot get really good. So this is why This is why my company, where I currently work at, is significantly slower building software than Sogeti or you guys are. Is because you do it as a profession. My company produces carpet for a profession. It just so happens I'm in the IT software development arm of that company. So what that basically means is the fault tolerance levels are a lot lower for you than they are for me. They're a lot higher for me. I'm much more likely to write bad code, or some middle manager, someone's going to just make a decision, I have to rewrite a bunch of stuff. And so what I was going to say was, you often build into your profit model, build into the hourly rate you're charging into the contract, all those hours that you're expecting to do warranty work. So let's say, you do 100 hours and you're doing $100 an hour, and you, for every hour you do 50 cents is going to go to, or $1.20 or something like that, is going to go to the possible warranty work fund. And then boom, there's your money.
Over here, the
default
default is that you calculate how much time it should take, you double it, and then you add 10%. The 10% is your wiggle room, and the double is the expected, oh crap, which always happens.
Yeah, that was definitely a hard point for me, was valuing my efforts. But I think
you
I've done pretty
always
good
underestimate the time things are going to take.
Yeah.
So the old, double it, it is actually true. You should be doing that.
It's pretty close. Like the project that I worked on was a milestones type of project. And so I priced out each of the milestones time-wise and used the time to price them out for the fixed price. So I hit it exactly by doing the formula that you talked about, Thindal. Almost to the hour, which is, not great for me, because that means that I didn't make an extra profit, but yeah.
Here's a
would have been nice.
Dumb thing or a good thing, depending on your outlook. And I've done this twice in my career, where you have a fixed price project, it goes really freaking well. You deliver and you'd have a huge profit on it. Split that profit with the customer. You underbill them.
Oh, cool.
Because that will give you a
end.
repeat customer, if anything.
Yeah.
You'll still be making money.
Good.
I mean, don't go, plus minus zero. But if you have a little wiggle room, you can share that with the customer and make them really loyal.
The process in the US is what you do is you get how much it costs, you double it, you add 10%, and then you go and check who the customer is. And if it's the federal government, you double it again and again and again, and then you send it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's how you get that toilet for, $15,000. But it is airplane certified. Whatever that means.
Yes.
I love the quote. I'm not sure what the movie was, but military grade, made by made by the guy who offered the lowest price.
Yes, it's that too.
But
we're getting close to the end of the stream, so I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to say, I know, but I got to get back to work, to say your final sayings.
We should double it and send it to the next person. That's my response.
Oh, No, I have not.
Like a guy has $1 and says, hey, you can have this $1, or you can double it and give it to the next person. Runs over to the other side of the street, says, you can have $2, or you can double it and give it to the next person. And at the end of the end of the short, he's like, okay, Tim, we need a $1.4 million. Finally took him there.
And all the guys who got asked are like, so let's split it.
Yeah, something like that.
So
when you say we're going to end the stream, I think we should double it and send it to the next person.
Yes, and we will. Cool. But I guess the thing that we have been doing traditionally now is do your stand-up. So DFlux.
Yes. I once again plead with my many viewers that one day we'll do a stream at some point, maybe, probably not this week. Yes, definitely not. Maybe. And so if you do want similar content, some Blazor stuff, some Azure stuff, possibly some
Azure stuff.
I love
stuff.
The Azure stuff. Yeah. Come swing by. You probably won't learn much because I don't, and it'll be lots of fun. And it will happen at some point. Maybe next week. Never, not never, but maybe sometime.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any blockers?
Any blockers to me doing streaming? I'm fat and lazy.
Yeah.
I'm American.
All right.
Right.
Any thoughts on resolving that?
No, I mean, really, I do
He's
spend
not
my
doing his
evenings
stand-up
doing
very
different
well,
things.
is he?
Do
I'm
Do it.
what I don't know. Get up, do exercise, take deep breaths, don't drink so much coffee.
Okay, too long.
eat
Too
Put a
much details.
webcam
Take
on
it
it,
offline.
and you're done.
Take it offline.
Tra.
All right, Thindal.
Yeah, my stream will be cancelled next week, unfortunately, because I will be
What?
spending the next couple of days panicking over a PowerPoint presentation and
You're
getting
gonna
my
do
script done,
amazing.
because that's on Thursday next week,
Hmm.
and I am already panicking because I've figured out that my PowerPoint needs to be changed like a ton to not suck. So, but I have a plan. I just got to get it done. And if I have time, I'll stream, but it probably won't be on Tuesday. So, full speed ahead,
All right.
and
Full
we'll
speed
see how
ahead.
Thursday works out. I might
Awesome.
be
Well, it was
ashamed
good.
out of my.
No, you're gonna do fantastic. You're gonna do
Yeah,
amazing.
I hope so. I hope so.
I'll send
I
all
have,
my energies.
I have high hopes but low expectations, if that makes sense.
Cool.
And if it,
It
goes
does.
poorly, I'll just remember to do better next time, right?
And you'll talk with us. You'll let us know. We have a rant room. You have supportive people that are
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely.
cool.
Yep.
So then
So we'll
thank
see what
you,
happens. But
Thindal.
if I have the time, a stream not going to be on Tuesday.
Cool.
Yeah. So
All
take
right.
care, everyone.
Yup.
Bye bye.
Wait. So, trying to get non-agile people to do a stand-up. What is stand-up? Stand-up is where you say work that you've been doing that you're going to do today. Any blockers, anyone, talk with anyone that you need to get some unblocking or some help. So that's our daily stand-up. So today I worked on DFlux is like, yeah, I know now. I wasn't paying attention to that. Stand-up is where you stand up so that no one keeps talking for 20 minutes. Yeah, exactly. Typically what usually happens in stand-ups is someone will bring up something about the weekend or some other thing that's going on and then have a 40-minute conversation about non-work stuff. Oh man. Oh man, you're a little late, Max. I had a thing prepared for when someone inevitably did that. So Max says, new haircut, new man, hi. Oh, unmuted. My response to that is, this is probably going to be really loud.
No! 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 No!
Okay. Anyway, Savidro, everyone, if you don't know who that was. People telling me that I got a haircut. Nuh-uh. My hair is still there. Wait. No, I don't mind it. It's just... Anyway, moving on. So I'm ending the stream. As promised, we're going to head over to Solipsist. I keep wanting to say Solipsist. He is working on technology that I absolutely love and adore. I want to be doing mixed reality just like he is. It's going to be fantastic. I have no blockers. I will continue. Today I'll be working on completing the UI updates that I was supposed to be doing and researching the APIs that we can get connected to get various service information. I need to get with teammate on making sure that the backend services are ready to receive the data, that we get some models built for that. Okay, other than that, that's all I'm done. Okay, here's my ending screen. Completely forgot about that. I will be back on Monday. Just remember that I will also be posting a recording of this video, so if you missed any of it and you actually wanted to hear some of the conversation that we had, which I thought was great conversation, thank you DFlux and Thindal, You can watch the VOD, or I will be posting it on YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. So it'll be available there as well. And what else? Feel free to join our Discord. If you want to join a community day, they happen every Friday. So just hop into our Discord and you can join the voice channel, or you can just chat using the chat like normal. Other than that, back on Monday for more stuff with the financial management tracker application. Okay, ciao. Timer's counting down fast.